The fur coat. Yeah, so the fur coat comes from, as a child, I was saved by a bunch of gorillas, and I grew up, got pretty athletic, and a leopard attacked me, and I came out on top. Some people call me Tarzan, but other people, call me Evan. So.
Oh my God, we should leave it at that.
Okay.
We should close with that. That is the mind blower of mind blowers.
Good.
Rucker, the tying run at first, 1 out, bottom of the 9th. Wright State 8, Tennessee 5. Ball hit high in the air into right field. Going back is Sayre, and Tennessee can say hello win column. A grand slam in the bottom of the 9th. You can't draw it up any better.
Pardon me and my tone. You can't step to my throne. They ain't working like me. I did this on my own. You asking where we been, huh? I don't know where to begin, huh? All this dirt on my skin. I just came here to win. I'm more than a man, I'm a monster. Somebody call a pastor, doctor. I got a 6th sense for imposters. So now I'm coming for the whole roster. It's not a game, why you playing with me? You could double back, lose track, try and hang with me. It must be in my veins, something you can't tame, cause I break the chain.
Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley.
I'm Dauber.
I'm the Indy Kid.
Feels like it's been a while since the three of us have danced together. We forgot what order we go in. Guys, man, what a just great start to SEC play for Tennessee. 19-1 on the season, 3-0. Get the sweep over South Carolina. It's crazy going into this weekend. All the talk about Tennessee has been about their power, their home runs, their bats. And I was talking to Donovan, one of our regular listeners, in the Facebook group, and I was like, the pitching on this baseball team, to me, is what's going to allow them to take a run. But I've got some numbers here. I got to throw them out. I got to rattle them off. This was I guess it was after the Friday game, because it's impossible to get up-to-date baseball stats. After the Friday game, Tennessee was leading the SEC in home runs, batting average, runs, hits. They're leading the league in batting average at 350. The closest team to them, Vanderbilt, at 332. But slugging is where it gets crazy. Slugging percentage, Tennessee 709. The next closest team in slugging is Vanderbilt at 538. They're already to 50 home runs. Again, this was as of, I think Friday it was. Next closest team, Florida, at 33. But again, what excites me is when you look at the pitching, and we saw it today. We're going to get into it, break down what Drew Beam did today. But pitching, leading the way again in the SEC, ERA 1.97, leading the way in strikeouts, 218. Opponent batting average 176. So Indy Kid will kick this thing off. As impressive as the bats are, what are your overall opinion of this team as we get a weekend into SEC play?
This was, I thought, an impressive weekend because you and I talked about it a little bit last night. This South Carolina team took 2 of 3 from Texas last weekend, and Tennessee made it look easy. They made it look like they were playing, one of these teams that they played earlier in the season. It did not look any different from the other weekends, and this was a decent team. I think South Carolina is 10-9 now, but, they've played a tough schedule, too, along the way, but home runs were at the pitching, though. You and I have gone to bat numerous times on it, saying that this pitching staff may be better than last year. Obviously, the next 2 weekends, it's going to get real. But so far, with Burns, with Dolander, and Beam was kind of the forgotten guy, but we've talked about how every weekend he keeps getting better. 1 run today in 7 2/3 innings. Man, this is you don't even have Tidwell, you don't even have Seth Halverson, the transfer from Missouri, who was drafted in the 19th round and decided to come to Tennessee.
Let me run down the chat.
It's going to get real the next 2 weekends, but golly, this.
How many times have we said that, though? We keep saying it's going to get real here. Okay, no. It's going to get real when conference play starts. We said it about the tournament down in Texas. Then we said it about South Carolina. Like you said, they made it look easy. Let me run down the chat, see who's here. Then I'm going to throw a question over to Dauber. He was our live reporter on location. Going to get an update. Will Murley in the house. What's up, Will? Good to see you here. Donovan Milliken, our resident baseball expert in the chat, is here. What's up? Boogie, that 50-win season might be in trouble from last year. Me and Indy Kid have been talking about it since the beginning of this. Going back to our season preview, this team could be better. I think it is better than last year's. Lucas Sharp is in the house. What is up? Steven is here. Hudson Dean is here. Says Farragut represent. Let's see who else we got. Zachary Whitfield in the house. John Hill is here. Diamond VAWLS, thank you for letting us look forward to a great season. Good to see you in the chat. Dauber, you were down at Lindsey Nelson. You were there Friday and Saturday. I wanted to throw this to you earlier, and you didn't make it onto the show for opening weekend. Talk about you were there opening weekend. You were there this weekend. Just talk about the atmosphere, the expansion to the stadium. Got the porches, and it just seems like Lindsey Nelson Stadium is rocking and rolling early. Last year, we got that momentum late. People started talking about baseball late in the year when they got going into the postseason. I feel like it's starting from day one.
Oh man, so. I caught the Sunday game against Georgia Southern. Great day for baseball. Super excitement in Knoxville about this baseball team. Friday and Saturday against South Carolina, it was a little bit chilly. But, man, this team, like you just talked about, the pitching – between Burns, Dolander, and Beam today, I mean, you look at that's what they had 17, 18, 19, 20 strikeouts. You know how many walks they had between the three of them this series?
I know Beam didn't walk anybody today. Did Burns walk one, maybe?
They had 3 walks. Burns had 2, and Dolander had 1. So, I mean, that's getting it done on the bump right there. And then just the batting. If any of you guys get a chance, I know all the SEC single game tickets are sold out. They do put out standing room only tickets like 90 minutes before first pitch. We had general admission tickets both nights, which would have been down the left field line, which we sat there most of the night Friday. And last night we hung out on the little plaza in right field and just took the game in from there. There's not a bad place to sit in Lindsey Nelson. For all the things it lacks, what they've done to make improvements to that ballpark and what they have planned, it's a good little place to catch a game. But the thing is, the product on the field, what these guys are doing. Jordan Beck home run yesterday. That
hasn't landed.
430-foot blast over the double porch.
What was Lipscomb's today? Lipscomb killed his today.
Well, that one Beck hit yesterday, though. The wind was blowing dead in. And it was probably you were close to 15-mile-an-hour gusts all evening yesterday. And
so it was blowing against him?
Blowing straight in left field. And he just crushed it. Lipsius, the one he hit, we didn't expect to see any home runs yesterday with the way the wind was blowing. Lipsius got his low, and it kind of scraped the wall there in right field, but it was still a shot.
Where were you sitting? The broadcast made it sound like the wind was blowing right to left.
It was kind of right to left, but it shifted at one point in the game and was blowing straight in from left field, left center. So that's what made Beck's hit so impressive. Just the sound of the bat that some of these guys produce. It's something else.
I think the thing about this team, again, that makes it so special because as we open the show, Indy Kid kind of leans into pitching. You kind of kind of both, but lean into the bats, and that's it, and not to rub salt in the wound so early, but Tennessee's basketball team, all year long the talk was about defense. Defense, 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 defense. We saw what happened last night. But this is a team that you can rely on everything. You put it all together. I like to lean into pitching. I want to talk about today's game because, Indy Kid, you kind of said it, Beam kind of gets lost in the shuffle because of how good Burns has been, how good Dolander's been. Drew Beam today, 7 2/3 inning, gives up 1 hit, only 3 strikeouts. And I think that's the thing that kind of excites me. I feel like, he didn't have his best stuff today, but he was hitting his marks. He was throwing strikes. He was kind of letting the defense play behind him. He did end up he had 2 strikeouts in the 6th. So up until that point, it was all location, 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 getting guys out and just kind of on cruise control. And then the no-hitter gets broke up, top of the 7th inning. But you guys know as well as I do, if you ask Drew Gilbert, he has to make that play.
Yeah.
And I know it was a tough play. He got turned around. I get it. And it went down as a hit. It is what it is. But you ask Drew Gilbert expects to make that play, and he's probably not happy with himself right now over that. But, Indy Kid, what do you think of my assessment there with Drew Beam? I just didn't feel like he had his best stuff and still very, very efficient today.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he had good stuff today, but he's more of – I think he gets lost in the shuffle because I don't expect to see him run up 10 or more strikeouts like you can see out of Burns or Dolander. He's more of like you said, a location guy, and he's going to let his defense work. I mean, Gilbert made some good plays in center field today. Like I said, he's probably going to kick himself over that one, but he played a good game in center. Ortega had a heck of a play at the middle at one point where he scooped it, kind of turned his body, and Lipsius had a good scoop on it as well. It's a solid team, man, just all the way around. I don't, where Russell, I think, we've talked about him. He's dishing back there, man. He's working. And part of that problem we've talked about is, I think, more Dolander when he's on the mound. But, back to your point with Beam is when Tidwell returns, man, how you going to take anybody out of the rotation? That's going to be tough. Do you shift Beam to your midweek guy? Or what happens there possibly? I mean, it's I
want to see who goes to the bullpen.
Good problem to have.
Yeah, because look at South Carolina, for example. Matthew Decker was dealing. I thought Matthew Becker I thought he had better stuff than Beam today. He looked great, but he made 2 big mistakes, and it led to back-to-back bombs from Christian Moore and Evan Russell, and just kind of that was it. And then he had a high pitch count. He threw. I mean, he was right around 100 pitches. He comes out, and the bullpen the wheels fell off. And that's where Tennessee again. You talk about bringing back Tidwell. You talk about Halverson coming back. That bullpen is just getting stronger than what it is right now. So, like you said, it's a good problem to have. We'll see what Vitello and I don't know whose decision. Anderson probably has a big say so in who goes to the bullpen, who ends up where. But yeah, I mean, it's just going to strengthen
when you've got and like you finished today's ending was perfect because Tennessee gassed South Carolina all weekend and throttled them, and then it ends on 102 mile per hour fastball. I mean, what a guy to have at the end. Such a drastic difference between Ben Joyce and Redmond Walsh. Mm-hmm. I mean, you had Sewell. One of these guys is going to the pen. I think Halverson, when he comes back, will probably go out of the pen as well.
That's one thing I was a bit disappointed in. I didn't get to see Joyce pitch either Friday or Saturday. I wanted to see the gas.
Yeah, he hit 104 again today. I mean,
holy see, I was downstairs trying to get set up and ready and send Dauber the link. But the funny part is you just rattled off 3 guys that could be closers. In Walsh, Joyce, and Sewell, man. Sewell he's nasty. He's nasty. He could be a guy that could start, but again, you got too many guys that could start in the SEC, and that's a good problem.
We didn't even mention Cannell can close. If needed. I mean, I think
if he's not busy chasing, he likes to chase down foul balls. They may just leave him out there doing that. I mean,
I tell you what, Friday night Burns being there and seeing it, seeing that slider drop off the table, man, he was dealing Friday.
Did it feel to you? Now I'll go back to my experience last year when we went up to 2 games against South Carolina and Columbia, and they played Thursday, Friday, and Saturday that weekend. But you went to the Friday night game. That's kind of considered the big night. Did it feel to you just like a big deal? I mean, I sat out and watched Chad Dallas warm up last year, and my blood was pumping, man. It was just like, this is a big deal.
You know, South Carolina, and I don't know if it was where they played Texas a doubleheader, so I think that messed up their rotation a little bit. They threw their ace Saturday instead of Friday night. But, yeah, I mean, we got there an hour plus before the game Friday night, and, you know, we watched South Carolina take infield. You know, it was the general admission was absolutely packed down the line for the most part, both games. The reserve seats Friday night weren't necessarily full, and I don't know if that's, you know, you had people coming from out of town. You had NCAA tournament going on. There were a lot of things. You know, it was a little bit cool both evenings. So it wasn't necessarily a packed house, but the people that were there were excited and into the game. And man, the guys responded. I think they would have played well if there wouldn't have been a soul there, just because this team is so good. But, yeah, it's if you're a baseball fan, you got to try to get out and catch a game this year.
I'm looking at Chase Burns, his numbers on the year, which, I mean, I knew they were ridiculous. They showed them on the broadcast. 4-0, 0.67 ERA, 26 and two-thirds, 14 hits, 5 runs, 34 strikeouts. But like you said, Dauber, it brings up an interesting point because I get excited about a guy like Drew Beam. And it's kind of funny, it's kind of backwards because he is relying on location. And not that Chase Burns and Dolander don't rely on that, but their stuff is nasty. Where Drew Beam, it's like a Greg Maddux guy. It's a guy that's out there working, and I love that. But even to kind of continue that thread, I felt like yesterday Chase Dolander didn't have his best stuff. And even they kind of had Tony Vitello on the broadcast, and he was even talking about it, saying, look, sometimes your stuff doesn't show up. And Dolander, he didn't have his nasty stuff. The slider wasn't there, but it was location. And I enjoyed watching Dolander. It's not that he struggled. He still, five innings, gave up 3 hits, 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts. 7 strikeouts when you don't have your best stuff, that's a pretty dang good day at the office.
Well, he said that, I thought it was interesting. He said he wished he could have kind of combined Burns and Dolander because he said Burns didn't have his fastball, but he had his breaking ball, and then Dolander didn't have his breaking ball, but he had his fastball. So that says a lot that, according to Tony Vitello, and I believe him on it, neither one of those guys had their best stuff, and they were still dominant. I mean, holy cow, what's going to happen when these dudes have all their pitches? It's Can these guys – I mean, I think of Burns in particular. You think a couple years ago when Vandy won the College World Series, Kumar Rocker was just unbelievable. Is Burns our Kumar Rocker? Possibly. This pitching staff, man, is going to allow his team to go a long, long way this year.
They don't even have Tidwell yet. You're comparing him. I mean, that's the thing, man. We're talking about you make the comparison to basketball and making that run late. Tidwell's going to be back. Halverson's going to be back I think it could be a matter of weeks at this point. I think they're both I think on VolQuest, I think Ben McKee said Halverson was maybe a week behind Tidwell, but I think it's a matter of weeks at this point. Those guys are back, and yeah, you're talking about Burns being the guy. Well, Tidwell says, hold my beer, boys. Let me get healthy, and let's go, man. Like, we keep talking about it.
the thing about it, and I hate to relate this to basketball, but the thing with Tony Vitello, he gets his best guys on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Chase Burns is his number one guy out of the gate. Compare it to basketball, it ain't going to happen because of trusting others. We talked about it when we did the live stream of the Texas game, and I talked about Christian Moore, 5-star guy coming in. You got to get him in the lineup. What's Tony Vitello done? He has found a way to get him in the lineup, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be a fixture. He's already got 7 bombs as a true freshman.
Have you seen his?
He's killing the ball too.
I have to throw it in there because you've been on his bandwagon from the beginning. Would you say he had seven bombs, 6 bombs, something like that?
He had 7 because he hit another one today.
So 7 bombs to, I think, 20 hits. That's pretty. That's a pretty ridiculous ratio.
That's very efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's 1 out of every 3 hits. I mean, his batting average is, let's see, what is 438? I mean, my gosh. It's insane, man.
But again, it's guys, getting the best talent on the field. I don't care. Tony Vitello, like you said, Chase Burns is going to be your guy. I want to see where does Tidwell, do you think? I don't think he shakes it up, man. I think he's going to leave Chase Burns on Fridays. I don't think he's going to take him out of that role.
I can't say I would. I don't know, man. It's a good problem to have.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know that I move.
Hey, I mean, you don't have to just have a Friday ace. You can have a ace pitching every day.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but that Friday spot,
into Sunday.
That's your ace. Yeah, that's what I wonder if I would do. Leave Burns on Friday, Dolander on Saturday, and put Tidwell on Sundays. But again, good problem
look at it,
to have.
Where you look at it, a lot of times teams are gettable on Sunday. Like Vanderbilt last year, you were going to have to face Ladder and Rocker, but Sunday, my gosh, if you're throwing out Burns, Dolander, and Tidwell, there's not an easy day for you.
That's a long weekend.
There's not even with Beam in there. That's not taking anything away from Beam. But Tidwell's
and then like we talked about,
speak for themselves.
These guys don't necessarily have their best stuff, and they're still striking 7-9 guys out a game, and just dealing. But then you've got those guys that can come in, give you 2 or 3 to get to your closers. Man, it's the pitching and the mid relief and the closers that this team has. It's set up for success. If you can get 6-7 innings deep with your starter, I mean, it's almost, you don't want to see Joyce or even Walsh come in, and then you got other guys too.
I mean, I would compare what they're doing, especially with their bullpen. I mean, they've got their starters right now who I feel, for the most part, especially Burns and Dolander. And Beam gave you almost 8 full innings today. If they give you 6-7 innings, and then you're getting to that bullpen, I'm comparing it what the Braves are building, to make that comparison. The Braves had the night shift last year. When they got to the 5th inning, it was over in the playoffs, and now they've gone out and added – 3 more guys to that bullpen? Your starter to get you through the 5th or 6th inning. I mean, Sewell had the off night against Texas. That's the exception rather than the norm. I would have, I know Vitello kicked himself over that game, but I would have felt confident going to Sewell as well. I would still feel confident going to Sewell. I mean, that's Sewell, Cannell. It seems like a lot of the times where they have to use the bullpen more, honestly, is through the week because they don't pitch their main guys through the week. So, they get into some slugfest during the week. And then the weekend, that's when all their aces are going. And, your bullpen honestly their bullpen gets more work, I feel like, through the week than they do the weekend because I still love the drastic difference in having Joyce versus Walsh because – let's say if you brought Walsh in first with his changeup and with that sinking ball he's got, and he throws, high 80s?
Yeah.
And then let's say you switch it to a guy comes in throwing 104 or vice versa. Oh, my gosh, man. Insane.
Well, I was talking to my buddy sitting there Friday night, and you had Burns, touching 93, 94 with his fastball, and then throw that breaking pitch in at 83, and he made some guys look silly, and being there is completely different, seeing it live versus seeing it on TV. We walked around the concourse, and I stood over along the first baseline, but close enough to the plate for 3 or 4 batters, and the movement on his ball that he was getting Friday. I mean, it was just, like I said, dropping off the table. And that's what I told my buddy. I said, you're gearing up for a 93-mile-an-hour fastball, and you get something like that, you can just look silly, out on your front, just waving at it with no chance.
Did you guys see this? This was a pretty interesting play. Did y'all catch this one?
Yeah, let me transition that into a point because leave it up there because I saw that too,
Okay.
And I wanted to bring up, we're talking about how great this team is. We're talking about the bats. We're talking about the pitching. How this team's going to win it all, right? All we've done is praise them because they're great, and they are great. But if you're going to nitpick and you're going to talk about something this baseball team has to clean up, it's base running. And, it is funny that Stevenson, I saw a lot of people on VAWLS in the game thread saying, what a great play by Stevenson. No, it was a horrible play by Stevenson.
Really?
It was a horrible play. He got caught up and he got lucky because he's got some speed. And this has been an ongoing thread that we've talked about every single week on the baseball show is base running. They have to clean up their base running. We saw it yesterday in the game.
Twice.
No outs in the second inning. Jared Dickey lays down a great bunt to get Cortland Lawson over, and he tries to go from first to third on a bunt. Man, just take what you get, and I get being aggressive that their third baseman was out of position, but at the same time, you completely took away the point of a guy that's pretty good with the bat laying down a bunt, and then it happened again in the 5th inning. Jordan Beck gets caught stealing. Yeah. He's trying to steal third with no outs and 2 on.
Yeah, and
too many base running errors.
That would have led to a run because who'd you have come up that hit Gilbert in, and Beck would have been standing on third when Gilbert scored from second.
It's not hurt them yet. It has not hurt them yet, but it can hurt them eventually. So, yeah, Stevenson, it was horrible execution of a rundown by South Carolina, especially once they said Beck was on second. Come on, man. That's bad execution. Tennessee got lucky, but they got to clean it up moving forward. And that's being very nitpicky about a team that's playing really good baseball right now.
Yeah, it's a valid point, though.
One of the other things Indy Kids said was talking about Evan Russell behind the plate. And that's been one of the things that I have also thought, could kind of handcuff this team. Not you want his bat in the lineup. You want his presence on the field, and I think he does give you – he's more of an asset in the lineup offensively right now than he is defensively a liability. And I think yesterday I think South Carolina should have ran every time they had somebody on base because Dolander is so slow in his delivery. Mm-hmm. He does nothing to help Russell out.
They got to fix that. And it's so bad that the broadcast team yesterday – asked Tony Vitello when he was on the headset about it, and he was like, "Oh, you got I forget." He gave
somebody's leg kick or something that he
said. He didn't even really say anything about cleaning it up. You got to fix it. You have to. It's a problem.
Well, and being there live and watching it, I didn't know they got into it on the broadcast, but he's so slow coming to the plate.
You think you could take second off of him?
Maybe. But and Russell, I tried to watch in between innings. His throws to second, even in the warming up, I think maybe the 2 games that I saw, he might have had 3 balls on the bag that would have been, a good throw.
How quick was he getting it down there? Do you think he was making pretty good time on it, or was it kind of meh?
It was hard to tell because not seeing a runner on, but you had a bunch that were high. You had some that were the third base side of the bag, which that's no good. I mean, at least get it to where your shortstop or second baseman has a chance to put a tag on somebody. But I think I caught one of the shows that you guys did earlier, talking about his setup and getting down with the one leg kicked out. That just strikes me as odd. And I don't know if he's doing that out of a comfort thing, or if that's the way they're saying, hey, listen, we want you to do this. But it seems like that hampers and slows him down a little bit as well.
Well, the thing is, if it was a coaching thing, you'd see all of them do it. He's the only one that does it. So I wouldn't think it's coaching. I think it's a comfort thing.
But
I don't like it either.
It's an odd thing with the runner on. I can understand with nobody on, but
because I don't care what you do with it empty.
It restricts your mobility where you can't. If it is to your right or left, if it's out of your reach, and how many times we've seen trying to go this way with it and it goes to the backstop. I mean, but, it's nitpicking him. He's back there working hard. And like you said, though, his bat, though, I mean, he's hitting. You got to have him in the lineup some way. And, if you move him to the outfield, I don't know, is Dickey a better catcher than Russell possibly? Because Dickey's a catcher too. So could you switch those two? I don't know. That the fact that they're sticking with Russell tells me they're more comfortable with him than they are Dickey back there. So I don't know what the answer is, and maybe it's going to be one of those things where he gets better with time, but I still think it's a concern.
Like I said, to this point, he's not been a liability because what he brings offensively.
Yeah, like you said, you got to have his bat in the lineup. And again, somebody said in the chat earlier, Zachary Whitfield, this is all minor stuff. Yep, it is. His team's 19-1, 3-0 in SEC play. Let's do a little plugs, and then I'm gonna transition kind of off of that comment. We got around 40 people watching live. Appreciate you guys hanging out. It's almost pathetic that we feel like 40. Oh, it's such a low number. Not many people in here. Guys, we used to get 40 on football shows on Wednesday, and now we're talking about college baseball, trying to build this thing. Love talk. It's the passion project. All three of us enjoy college baseball, so we appreciate you coming along for the ride. But help us out. Hit that thumbs up. Share it out. Retweet it. Put it on Twitter. Just hit the share button down below. Hit share. It'll ask you where you want to share it. Put it on Twitter, Facebook. Let somebody know we're live. We would appreciate it. It helps kind of grow the brand of baseball. Putting more eyes on college baseball is a good thing. That's what we want to do. But also you can check out the official merchandise of the Talkin' VAWLS Network. Go to bonfire.com/store/TalkinVAWLS. As you can see, I'm not just the owner. I'm a client. I'm wearing the State Pride logo. Good quality merchandise. Go check it out, bonfire.com/store/TalkinVAWLS. Diamond VAWLS merch right there if you're a baseball fan. If you like the baseball logo, go check it out. Vol Hoops merch. Again, bonfire.com/store/TalkinVAWLS. So let's transition this thing forward. Somebody, we it seems like I said earlier, we say this every week. Well, it's for real now. We're going to learn something this weekend. We're going to learn something when they go down to Texas and they have to play the number one team in the country, and they got to play Baylor and Oklahoma. They come out winning 2 out of 3, and I've said over and over and over, I feel like if they played a weekend series with Texas, I think they can take 2 out of 3 from Texas. 7-2 is the score, but I feel like Tennessee played better at times than a 7-2 score. So then we started talking about South Carolina. Well, they're a good baseball team, and Indy Kid kind of touched on it at the beginning of the show. And that team they took 2 or 3 from Texas. They won the series against Texas, and they're coming off of a series sweep against Clemson. But the bottom line is South Carolina is a step up. So as we move forward, it gets real, and it's getting real very, very quick as Tennessee will take on the number one team in the country. Although, I'm asking too many questions. I think that may get changed up a little bit.
Yeah.
Take on number one Ole Miss this upcoming weekend, and then Vanderbilt. Back-to-back road series against top 5 teams, Indy Kid. It gets real. What are we going to learn over the next 2 weekends?
We're going to learn, can this team hit against better pitching? And it's funny you freaking mentioned Vanderbilt, because we all know the one thing we hate about Vanderbilt. And this will be a funny one, but there's some bird that keeps hanging around here that thinks it's the Vandy Whistler. here at my house.
Oh, gosh.
Sounds exactly like it.
Well, we're getting one in Knoxville because there's some idiot that just screams the whole game now.
But there's some bird that keeps hanging around here. I'm like, man, it's the Vandy Whistler bird hanging out here.
That's why you're moving, isn't it? You've had enough.
We stood by that guy last night.
Oh, I think I may have left. I was about to turn my TV off.
But, yeah, it's I don't know what – I know that Auburn thumped Ole Miss Friday night. I don't know what I haven't kept up with the rest of the series. Let's see, looks like Vanderbilt won today. Not sure how the rest of their series is gone. But, man, I still like this team's chances to win both series coming up. If base running is what we got to pick apart, it's a pretty good team, man. And, if Vanderbilt or Ole Miss can beat their pitching staff they got going out, if they can shut these bats down, more power to them. That tells you how good these teams are. I still like Tennessee's chances right now. And still, until somebody proves me wrong, the Texas game, man, they made a lot of uncharacteristic errors that night. Not necessarily errors on the score sheet, but just a lot of mistakes that they haven't made. Yeah, base running's one thing, but
yeah, in the Texas game, you had a guy come in that usually is pretty reliable and just didn't show up. Yeah, and sometimes that happens, but
Well, if Burns is rolling along against Ole Miss and Vanderbilt, Vitello's not pulling him.
No way.
Like
There's no
Texas.
way. No.
And same with Dolander, same with Beam as well. I mean, he'll ride them out like he did today, I believe. But I think the ideal thing is if these three guys can get you through the sixth inning, maybe get you to the seventh, turn it over to that pen.
Looking at Ole Miss, I want to see how the rankings shake up after this week, because this week, going back to Sunday, Ole Miss lost to Oral Roberts. They lost on Tuesday to Southeast Louisiana. They got a series win against Auburn, but they lost on Friday. There's no way they're the number one team in the country right now. No way.
No, and I know when they played Central Florida, I think they lost at least one that weekend and had some pretty strong games that went maybe extra innings. So, I mean, I think Ole Miss is good, but I don't know if they're number one either. I don't know what the exact rankings are. I mean, Vandy's fourth, Tennessee's seventh. I mean, if there are six better teams in Tennessee, I have a hard time believing it based on what we've seen. And maybe we'll get proven wrong on it, but if Tennessee goes and we'll say that's the one thing, they're not road tested yet. They are neutral side. I mean, which Texas was basically an away game, but they bounced back and drilled Oklahoma and Baylor, which was kind of home games for both of those teams as well. Not so much Oklahoma as Baylor, but still yet. So this will be their first true road test along the way.
Yeah, I'm more worried about Vanderbilt than I am Ole Miss. I don't.
Yeah.
And I'm not one to really talk about rankings. Like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You're going to take care of it once you get into tournament play in the postseason. It doesn't really matter. But like you said, if there's six teams better than Tennessee, I'd like to know who they are. And I started off the show by rattling off all the categories that Tennessee is leading in. And when you're leading in all these categories on both sides, offensively, defensively, and you're 19-1, and your only loss is to the team that was number one at the time, Tennessee's right now the best team in the country. Quote me on that.
And the thing is, I think they know their identity already.
Yeah.
The pieces are in place. It's just a matter of going out and performing and getting it done in between the lines. That you're not trying to, figure out your rotation or plug guys in. I mean, you got the guys where you want them. And the problems you have are when you get some guys back healthy, what are you going to do with them?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, like you said, nitpicking a little bit on base running. I mean, that's stuff every team needs to work on to clean up to be better. But it's hard to find anything to be highly critical of based on their body of work at this point.
Well, look at their, it's an interesting point you make too. Look at their lineup, man. You talk about they figured things out already, and I feel they've kind of settled into the lineup. Now, you've seen them kind of numerous times this weekend. A couple times they pulled Dickey for Stevenson, put them in. But, I think they kind of went with the lineup. They kind of toyed with it a little bit. But now you've got Morris settled in as the DH. Their infields, they're set at every position. Dickey is your consistent leadoff man. And maybe they bring Stevenson in. But what's it say that, Boogie, when you and I did the preseason, we talked, or even numerous episodes, we talked about Kyle Booker. What's it say about this lineup that Kyle Booker can't get on the field?
Yeah.
And, I mean, last year you had your set nine. You had Russell, Gilbert, Beck. You had Rucker, Spence, Ferguson, Lipsius, Pavoloni. You occasionally saw a pin, and then you had Durkee as your DH. That didn't change any, whether it was midweek or whatever. You would occasionally maybe see Booker in, but now you've got – they pretty much consistently been going Dickey, Gilbert, Beck, Lipscomb, Lawson, Ortega, Lipsius, Russell. But then, maybe they rotate in Taylor midweek at catcher, or maybe Dickey. And then you've got Blake Burke. You got Christian Moore. You've got, like I said, Booker can't even get on the field. They're going more to Christian Scott than they are Burke. It's a deeper team this year. And, each of those guys that left were losses. But has anybody that's replaced been a downtrend? I don't know, man. Lipscomb, look at what he's doing. And then Ortega at second, look at what he's doing. Lawson's been solid. Dickey's been solid. Russell going to catcher. Pavoloni he struggled after he come back after he broke his hand last year.
That was a question going into the season too. Was how do you replace the guys that you had, especially the middle infield?
And I think they upgraded. Honestly,
you were looking at that, and the production that you had out of those guys, and to already have guys plugged in and be clicking along. It's a whole lot better to sort that out right now than waiting until mid-season.
What I like though is coming full circle to a point that Indy Kid made way earlier in the show is Tony Vitello is going to play the best guy. He's going to play the hot hand. And Dickey is a guy that's been hot. He's hitting .434 on the season right now. But on Friday, he went 0 for 5. And on Saturday, he comes in, he's 0 for 1. And Tony Vitello pinch hits for him early in the game and gets Stevenson out there. And it's kind of like I saw a lot of people questioning it, say, why is Stevenson why are you pinch hitting for Dick? Well, Dickey's kind of been in a slump. Right. And you're talking about a guy that's hitting .434 on the year, but Tony Vitello's going to he's going to roll with the hot hand. And then you saw it again today. He put Stevenson in a kind of a crucial situation. I'm just going off the top of my head. I can't remember what the score is, but Dickey draws a walk, gets on first. He's going to pinch run Stevenson and go with that speed, and he's going to roll with the hot hand. And that's what I love about Tony Vitello. And anytime, even myself or Indy Kid, when we question it, or people online, when they question Tony Vitello, it all comes back to baseball is a gut feeling. And it goes back to, Dobby, you were talking about Sewell earlier coming in that Texas game. And it's like, you're going to go with Sewell because you trust Sewell. And right. Sometimes you don't have your best stuff. And we kind of talked about that on the post-game show after that Texas game and Indy Kid, you said it earlier, if it's later in the year, if it's tournament time, if it's the College World Series, Chase Burns ain't coming out. He's going to keep rolling with Chase Burns. But baseball is about gut feeling for your coach, and he's going to make those decisions. And you can question them until you're blue in the face, but sometimes it goes one way, sometimes it goes the other. But I'll ride or die with Tony Vitello and his knowledge of baseball and what he's done with this baseball team in just a short amount of time.
Well, and I think, too, he's a guy who's not afraid to take a risk, too. And, sometimes he gets questioned on rotation, but I know just from coaching myself, when your guy's got it and when he doesn't. And, maybe the outside eye doesn't see that. I think he'd like to have the Burns one against Texas over, but in the grand scheme of things, that game means nothing. I mean, it does mean something, but at the end of the day, it's one loss.
Yeah.
But I was looking at SEC sports, so I'm going to read off some numbers with a decimal in front of them. 434, 381, 368, 338, 457, 394, 320, 438, 350, 333, 278, 350. Now, I left out 143 and 207, so that's Logan Chambers and Christian Scott. But beyond that, that is all of Tennessee's lineup, their batting averages. So Cortland Lawson at 278 is the lowest, and that's a respectable average still yet. So all of these guys in the lineup are hitting, all your regulars are hitting 333 or higher. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. And that includes guys who play sparing, not as much. Like Seth Stevenson, still 381. Where's it at here? Moore, 438. Blake Burke, 350. Logan Steenstra, 350. My gosh, man. It's crazy.
You combine that with not just the getting on base and the average. You hit 9 home runs in this series. You had pitchers, going 5, 6, 7, almost 8 innings. That's getting it done pretty much in every facet of the game right there.
Those are their numbers. Batting and pitching are MVP baseball numbers.
It's stupid. That's what I was going to say. When you've hit, and again, this is as of Friday, when you've hit 50 home runs already and your team pitching ERA is 1.97, you're right. It's MVP baseball. It's road to the show, baby. Let's go. It's stupid. It's stupid, and that's why, again, rankings don't matter at the end of the day. We'll settle it on the field, but right now, Tennessee is the best damn baseball team in the country. Period.
Listen,
period.
They hit more home runs than South Carolina had hits this weekend.
Oh God!
Is
that
insane,
a fact?
Man.
Is that a fact?
They hit 9 home runs. South Carolina had 2. No, sorry. The starting pitchers gave up.
Okay, but still
6 hits. Starting pitching gave up 6 hits.
That's
ridiculous.
Great. Or maybe, what is it, College Baseball Newspaper will have them number 1 tomorrow. Wasn't that the one we figured out that's had them ranked so high all year?
We'll find one that's got them number 1. I don't care where it's at.
We'll use that too. You best believe it. When we come back next Sunday and College Baseball Newspaper has them number 1, we're going to talk about the number 1 VAWLS just crushed the number whatever Rebels on the road.
Yeah, we'll find a good ranking for them too.
I always take the highest. That's what everybody does.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe the Talkin VAWLS Network top 25, but they'll be number 1 in that for sure.
Well, looking ahead to next week, again, Tennessee takes on Ole Miss. The Sunday game is at 2:30, so we'll be a little bit later than usual, but that's fine. That'll be good. We'll go live immediately after that Ole Miss game. They take on Vanderbilt the weekend after. I'll be on the road. Maybe I'll be back. I don't know. I'll try to race back. I think Indy Kid's going to cover it regardless. Dauber may be here with him. We'll see. We'll keep you guys up to date. But the plan is to go live every single Sunday immediately following the game. I enjoy it. I enjoy talking baseball. I know you guys enjoy it as well. Both of you guys, I'll throw it to Dauber first, and we'll finish up with Indy Kid. Any final comments on just this weekend, the season to this point, or looking ahead to the future, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
Man, for me, being able to be in attendance Friday and Saturday night, it was just a whole lot of fun, and to see these guys live and in person, doing what they're doing, all the stats that we've just thrown out, and I can't speak more to Jordan Beck's home run last night. It was just unreal.
Even on TV, it was crushed.
Yeah. So this team's exciting. I can't wait for next weekend and the weekend after. like we talked about, get to see these guys and the way they're playing right now, step it up a little bit and see some talent that is a little bit better. See how they respond to that, and just move forward.
Any kid final thoughts as we get ready to wrap this thing up?
Just a fun weekend. A drastic difference from the show yesterday, which was tough. Still a tough one to swallow today, but we'll see. We'll see. Can they maintain this throughout? I mean, baseball's a long season, even in college. Can they maintain it? Can they? There's going to be weekends. If somebody can beat them in a series, it's going to be interesting to see who it is and why it happens, because it's going to take an effort to beat this Tennessee team. Such a different team, man. I mean, I don't know. I'm excited about next weekend. I'm excited about the next 2 weekends. I think these are probably the biggest 2 series of the year coming up.
And both on the road.
Both on the road. And just there is nothing more fun than going on the road and shutting a rowdy crowd out. I watched it twice last year, and I was one of the few that got some looks when they beat South Carolina, because that crowd was hot last year too. Not like it's going to be at Ole Miss or Vandy, but we'll see, man. This team's rolling. They're firing on all cylinders right now. Can they maintain? What happens? There are so many good problems to have, and thank God for Tony Vitello.
I think I should have just hit the music and closed the show right there. That should have been the end. Should have been the way out. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight. Again, we'll be live next Sunday immediately following the game. But just a reminder, the schedule coming up this week. Nothing going on tomorrow. I'll probably drop some type of video. I don't know. I'll have to wake up and figure out what I'm going to do. Might be a recruiting video. Maybe Nico commits and we'll blow up the internet. But if not, we'll figure something out. Tuesday night, NCAA 2013. Hope you guys tune in for that. It's a good time. We'll talk some football, hang out. It's a BS session, and I love it. Wednesday, 7 o'clock. We're going live talking about spring practices here. Starts Tuesday.
Practice.
We're talking about practice. Tuesday night. I see you confused me, Dobby. You got me thrown off. Wednesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time. We'll go live. Big announcement to kick off the show. Got some surprises along the way. We'll talk about the future of Talkin VAWLS, and we'll talk about this football team as they go through spring practice, what we're looking for, what we're excited about, all that good stuff. So make sure you guys tune in for that. Should be a good time. And unfortunately, no more basketball to cover. Got to send them home on a sour note. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. He's Indy Kid. He's Dauber. I'm Boogie Bentley. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. The last thing I have to say is go Big Orange.
That we call home, and it's night and I'm alone and